The first thing people usually ask me when they meet me is, so why are you the alligator wrangler? It's a great question, but let me back up a little bit. For a long time, I worked for a forecasting company, and what we found that people didn't just want to forecast the future, they actually wanted to create the future. They wanted to, think about ideas that they could bring to their companies or start new ventures. So my father and I, who had started the company years ago, we came up with a list of best practices to actually find small trends that people could take advantage of to grow their companies or to start new companies. That a list of best practices became a book called Mini Trends. It won a couple of Best Book Awards, and we started doing consulting, and we started doing conferences around it, which was really great. But what I found was that there was just a lot of unhappy people out there, especially in corporate, because they really didn't have the opportunity to use their creativity because their organizations had such fixed mindsets of, just do your work, do it the way that we've always done it, my way or the highway type of attitude. So I got really interested in culture, and I started helping companies with their culture. And this was really exciting to me, but over time, I realized that unless that fixed mindset changed from the leaderships and the managers, that it was very hard to really have that culture stick. It was more like a Band-Aid. So I started getting really frustrated too, because I couldn't get sustainable change, I felt. So then I had the opportunity to go to this 9-month executive coaching program. It was sponsored through UT called IPAC. And there I learned how to change that fixed mindset to an energized growth mindset. And it just changed my life, and it gave me the methodologies and the techniques to change other people's lives too. One of the first people who came to me after that, he came to me and said, Carrie, I've got a list of to-dos this long. Things are falling through the cracks. My wife is upset with me because I never get home on time. I just had my assistant quit on me. I just feel like I'm in an alligator pit. I said, alligator pit. Gosh, I can relate to that. Can anybody here relate to that? Well, it's not surprising, because we have all of these expectations and frustrations and personalities snapping at us all day that it can be really overwhelming. I told him, don't worry. I can do that, and I can get you out of that pit. I can get you moving on from that pit. And I did. And that's when I became the alligator wrangler. So today, what I'd like to do is to give you some ways to get out of that alligator pit and moving on. In particular, right now, we're in this with the uncertainties, with being stuck at home, with the uncertainties of when things are going to open up with the COVID-19 virus shutdown, that it can be particularly upsetting during this time. So I want to kind of focus specifically on that today, on ways that you can kind of like change that mindset from that negative mindset to that more energized mindset full of opportunities. This is kind of the way it works. You got the fight and flight fixed mindset, and then what we want to do is we want to move it up to that visionary win-win genius type of energy, that kind of energized mindset. And basically what it is we have a thought, and a core thought, which leads to an emotion, which leads to an action. If that core thought is negative and like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm not getting any work. How am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to feed my kids? What are we going to do? Then, your emotion is going to be fear. It's going to be negative. It's going to be, overwhelm, stress. And then your action is to, just hole up in your house and, protect yourself or, strike out at others. So what we want to do is we want to consciously change that core thought to something more positive. Maybe, I can get through this. And then your emotion is more like, okay, let's get on with it. And then your action is you get out there and you do what you got to do. But if you can consciously change that core thought to something positive, like, what, this is a window of opportunity. Why don't I really look closely here and find some things that, might really make a real big difference for me in the long run while I've got this strange little period here. And then your emotion is something more, I'm excited. And then your action is you get out there and you do the things that, can really make a difference in your life. So this is kind of what it looks like: thought, emotion, action, and then energized thought, energized emotion, energized action. So the first one I'd like to talk about is deepen connections at home. Now, actually, last week I had my article, 7 tips for getting out of the COVID-19 alligator pit, published by the Texas CEO magazine, and they actually zapped. We decided to zap this one, I guess because it wasn't business oriented enough, but I think it's just a really important one because a lot of us are stuck at home with our kids, or with our roommates, or with our families, and I think it applies to everyone, but particularly the people that are stuck at home with other people. This is just like such a great time to really connect on a deeper level, and a lot of us are really finding that we're playing games together, we're taking walks together, we're doing all this stuff. But yeah, think about even more than, puzzles, although they're really hard to find right now, I hear. Just different things that, you can do. Make a list of them and then check them off. But also, during this time, really take the opportunity to deepen the connections further, because really the way to our hearts is our connections. So, for starters, really, listen intuitive to the other person. Don't just hear them, but actually watch their body language, watch their facial expressions, and really read between the lines. Another thing is be curious. Ask open-ended questions. Don't just ask, what do you want to watch for TV tonight? Ask, what kind of shows do you like, and why do you like them? And this really kind of opens up the conversation and connects deeper. For me, I've been going out for a walk with my 2 boys who are out of school, of course. And, I ask them questions like, if you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go? One of them told me Easter Island. I said, Easter Island, that's interesting. And we had a very interesting conversation around that. So really be open to deepening these relationships while you're kind of stuck with each other. Second one is reach out to others. And again, our heart is really wired to want connection with each other. And this is such a great opportunity, especially for many of the people here that, you're always trying to connect people, trying to, get more work, get a new job, whatever you're doing. This is a great opportunity because people are kind of stuck at home. Some of them have extra time. They're more likely to take your calls. They're more likely to pay attention to your emails. And so this is just a great time to offer help. That's kind of the word, how can I help you? How through this strange season? So make a list, of the personal and business people that you just really would love to talk to that you haven't talked to for a while, and just start calling them, or your hot prospects that maybe you haven't contacted for a little while. One of my clients, she is actually making 10 calls a day. She's committing to 10 calls a day, personal and business. And she just knows that by doing this, that this will pay off in the long run because she's deepening these connections. Me personally, I'm actually offering this presentation that I'm giving right now to businesses and to organizations for free because I feel like it really helps teams, it helps businesses, and it helps people to really kind of get over this time. And again, it's also deepening my relationships with businesses and people. And so it's great for me too. So that's just a really, really great way to take advantage of this period. Another way is supporting your community. Now, I know a lot of you are, going out, you're thanking people at the grocery store, first responders, you're tipping, you're probably taking takeout, but, you can kind of take this a step further too, especially if you have kind of time on your hands right now. One of my clients is actually working on the weekends, giving out food for tummies for the junior league. Another person I know is reaching out to older people that she knows, and she's offering to order online for them, or she's helping them if they're having difficulties with their technologies. So there's just a lot of ways. There's listings in the newspaper and online of places that need help. I am a dyed-in-wool dancer, and so I really do appreciate the musicians out there that, that play the music that I dance to, and so I'm giving to the music people in town that aren't getting their gigs that they're usually getting. So whatever your heart feels, go and help out if you can, if you've got the time. Another great way during this period to really change that mindset is to revisit your past resilience. Many of us have had experiences in the past where we're stuck at home. We're either stuck at home with sick children, we're stuck at home because, we had an operation. Maybe we're stuck at home because, we're out of jobs. So this is really a great opportunity to kind of, to really look in the past at how you handled things then, and then use those to cope with what's going on now. For example, one of the people I work with, he's stuck at home, and he's got some work that he's really trying to get done. He's got a small company that he's trying to keep running, and he's just getting really, really frustrated. And I told him, well, I remember last summer that you were stuck at home, the kids were sick, and how did you cope then when you had to take care of them? And he said, I got really good at running to HEB as fast as I could. Coming back, I got really good at just focusing on what I was doing and putting all my effort into it. And I got a lot done in a much shorter periods of time. And it actually worked pretty well. And so now he's doing that, and he's like thinking about those past strengths. Another thing you can look at is how you, in the past, when you feel your very best, now and in the past, when you really feel your best health-wise. When you're feeling really good and you have all that energy, it's probably because you're eating right, you're exercising, you're getting enough sleep. So it's really important to look at those things that keep you resilient and then practice them now during these really uncertain times. Another great way is writing it down. When we write things down, it allows our conscious and our unconscious to connect quicker, and it makes our thoughts into stories and our experiences into stories, and that way we can relate to them and deal with them much easier. One big thing is, start writing in a journal, or you can just jot things down on a piece of paper, but whatever you do, get them on paper and really start taking advantage of that. James Pennebaker, a psychology professor at UT, he's done studies on this, and he found that expressive writing actually improves your physical health and it improves your work performance. Mr. Markman of Two Guys on Your Head, he also does a lot of work in this area. So it's just really helpful to do that. So I suggest that, you start thinking of ways you can do that. And when you've got something on your mind, just jot it down. Another great way to change that core thought is with practicing gratitude. When you practice gratitude, if you write down 1 to 3 things every day that you're really grateful for, it just connects into a higher intelligence. It really gets rid of that me energy and changes that energy into something that is visionary and, connects with your genius, because you're kind of like changing that energy into something really positive. What I suggest to my audiences and to my clients is I always tell them, write 3 to 10 gratefuls every day when you go to bed at night. And what you can do is you can change the things that are kind of challenging to actually be more positive by, for example, if you're saying, oh my God, I was so overwhelmed today. You could say, I'm so thankful that I felt overwhelmed and I called up the people that I know from Higher Texas, and now I feel much better. Or maybe you said, oh my gosh, I feel so lousy today. And your thankful might be, I'm so thankful that I realized that I'm really stressed out, and I'm gonna make a point to take a walk tomorrow. So each of these things, you can kind of switch them around and change it into a positive core thought, and it will help you tremendously, I've found. And of course, if you're looking for things to be grateful for, you can look at be thankful for all the stuff that we can now buy at the grocery store, including toilet paper. Next, tackle someday projects. And, this is really the time. I know that a lot of you are out there looking for interviews, looking at the websites for, what is out there. Some of those things have kind of stopped right now because everybody's so shelter in place and so stressed out. So, this might be a really great time to maybe do some of the side projects that you're really wanting to do. One of my clients, her hours got really cut down, and she is also an artist, and so what she's doing is she's really putting effort into her artist website. She's been putting up pictures, she's been putting up prices, and she actually sold 2 paintings in the last couple of weeks, and so she's really excited about that. Me personally, I have found that I love gardening. Now that I'm stuck at home, I've been doing gardening, and since I'm here all the time now, I have flowers I can bring in, so I'm enjoying the flowers. So just really think about, projects that you might take on during this period. Another idea is brush up on your goals. We all have these goals that we usually set, and then they kind of go off to the side and we forget all about them. So bring those back and really come up with 3 business goals and 3 personal goals for the next 3 months, 1 year, 5 years. And they're going to be different. They're going to be a little different because things have changed. Everything is not going to be exactly the same. For one thing, we're going to be doing a lot more online stuff even as we open up our communities. So what I always suggest to my audiences and my clients, though, is to not just write these goals down, but actually think about when you've achieved a goal, and then think about how it will feel. And really, when you connect with the feeling that you're going to have, it's not only going to make you feel good now, but it's going to be more likely that you're going to actually get that goal because your conscious and your unconscious mind, again, is working together. And also, you want to look at them every night because you want that constantly to be going into your conscious and your unconscious and merging those two. So I've talked about deepening connections at home, reaching out to others, supporting your community, revisiting past resilience, writing it down, practicing gratitude, tackling someday projects, brushing up on goals. All of these things will really help you. And again, we're really in that season where we want to reach out to others. So some of the things that I can do is I can give you the free 8 tips cheat sheet. I've got a goal sheet. We were talking about goals that I can give you. I do have this online session, so if you know any other organizations or your business, if you work for somebody that they like to have this. Also, if you'd like to have a half an hour free brainstorming or coaching session, I'd like to do that. And it's 40% off all my assessments and programs until July 1st. Let me go through this last slide. Back to, we're moving from the fixed mindset to the growth mindset. And when you do that, you kind of change everything. And then finally, see you later, alligator.